Tamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Aradhyo Bhagwan Vachi Satanaya Stadhama Vrindavan Ramyam Kaschid Upasana Vrajvadu Vargina Ekalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Namalam Prema Maharthamaha Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Vadantam Tatra Darunambaraha. Two to 30.
So 31 to
31.
So we finished, so last 6 sets of verses were about various steps before liberation. So we discussed, how there is a difference between yogis and jnanis, how they liberate, and Prabhupada also gives the hints of how devotees prepare for liberation. So I think these are the concluding verses for that theme.
Okay. Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, Text 31. Tenatmanatmanam upaiti shantam. Oh, acha. Prem Sandhu is not feeling well?
He has a lot of programs to do.
Okay. Anandamanandamayo vasani Etam gatim bhagavatim gatoya Savai punarneha visajjate anga Tenatmanatmanamupayati shantam Anandamanandamayo vasani Etam gatim bhagavatim gatoya Savai punarneha visajjate anga Tenatmanatmanamupayati shantam Anandamanandamayo vasani Etam gatim bhagavatim gatoya Savai punarneha visajjate anga Tenatmanatmanamupayati shantam Anandamanandamayo vasani Etam gatim bhagavatim gatoya Savai punarneha visajjate anga Anybody else? Tenatmanatmanamupayati shantam Anandamanandamayo vasane Etam gatim bhagavatim gatoya Savai punarneha visajjate anga. Shri Radhika?
Tenatmanatmanamupayati shantam
Tenatmanatmanamupayati shantam
Anandamanandamayo vashani
Anandamanandamayo vasane
Etam gatim bhagavatim gatoya
Etam gatim bhagavatim gatoya
Savai punarneha visajjate anga
Savai punarneha visajjate anga. Okay, thank you, devotees. Translation and purport. Nice big purport. Read the purport and go through it. Only the purified soul can attain the perfection of associating with the personality of Godhead in complete bliss and satisfaction in his constitutional state. Whoever is able to renovate such devotional perfection is never again attracted by this material world, and he never returns. Okay. So this one question always comes in my mind, and I have not been able to resolve it. It says, only the purified soul can attain the perfection of associating with the personality of Godhead. And it makes sense that whoever is able to attain such renovate, Prabhupada uses this word renovate. So it's not something to be, it's renovation. It's there, like a building is there. It's just crumbling a little bit, needs a little renovation. So whoever is able to renovate such devotional perfection is never again attracted by this material world and never returns. So there are two ideas. One is God is merciful. And, of course, in Bhagavatam, this idea comes, whoever does the most littlest service to Krishna, Krishna gives him the position of his mother in the spiritual world, that fifth canto, famous verse of Putana. Krishna gives liberation to those who come to kill him. Krishna gives liberation to those who thinks of him in envy, in jealousy, in lust, and in any forms. So that's one idea, that if anybody does any service to Krishna, he never forgets. Guru is all merciful, Krishna is all merciful, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is merciful, Nityananda Prabhu is even more merciful. His Parshadas like Vasudev Datta, they are all merciful. So and then the other idea which is expressed in the scripture is that bhakti is a science. It goes step by step, and that you have to, renovate devotional perfection and never again come to this material world, and he never returns. So one can say that, one may go to heavenly planets or may get a better material situation. But then there is this idea that, you will get just by being a devotee. Christians have taken it to the whole other extreme. I think it comes from Paul, that if you just believe in Christ, and you go to heaven. And they have taken the other extreme also. If you don't believe in Christ, eternal hell. So anyways, that's completely ridiculous. At least the process of transmigration and reincarnation and different gradations in the universe, at least that settles that question in my life. And we see in this material world, there are gradations of consciousness. There are gradations of spiritual and material life. So there is gradations. And it also kind of makes logical sense that, as you sow, so shall you reap. We see that our actions do affect our destiny. Sometimes even a carelessly done action can have serious consequences. So definitely there are consequences. So this idea I have not been able to reconcile, and I would like you to maybe share your thoughts about this. And there are words from our acharyas. For example, this devotee in Bagh Bazaar, they were building a marble temple in Calcutta, and he was a grihastha, and he worked very hard to build the temple. It was about 7-year effort, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said he went back home, back to God. And Srila Prabhupada also said sometimes, that for devotees who were, who did some either exemplary service or they did some humble service, but in a steady and consistent way, that this person will go back home, back to Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talked about Dukhi, that she would attain the mercy of Lord. But then you also see this whole idea of anartha nivritti, nishtha, ruchi, asakti, bhava, prema. Prema has sneha, mana, abhimana, bhava, mahabhava, different stages. And I've never been able to understand who goes back home and who stays here and what happens to who. I guess what I have been able to reconcile is that we should all just respect each devotee as Mahan, and know that it's ultimately the relationship with Krishna and between them and Krishna. But if anybody can shed any light on this idea, I would be very grateful. Purport. So we'll read the purport. We have read the translation, very clear. So this last line is very similar to Bhagavad Gita's line, Savai Punah Neha Visajjate. He never comes back. Savai Punah, he never comes back to this material world. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that one who thinks of me alone, Antakale cha mam eva, Smaran muktva kalevaram. This word kalevar comes from the English word cadaver, comes from the Sanskrit word kalevar. Kalevar becomes cadaver. One who leaves the cadaver. So it's interesting, when the soul leaves, they call it cadaver. So Antakale chamam eva smarana muktva kalevaram. Prabhu, this incense is too much for me. Prabhu, can you please put it outside? And this April, May, is pollen, and plus you add the incense also. Okay, thank you. Bro. It's cold, right? So why were you turning the fan? Oh, to disperse the smoke. No, it's okay, as long as the incense is not there. Yes. So there's this idea, which acharyas and spiritual masters have expressed, and Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, once you surrender unto me. But then, we see that once you surrender, but then you can also take the surrender back very easily. And Krishna Ramayana, this whole idea that you come to me and you say, Lord, I'm surrendered to you. I will never forget you, and I'll protect you, and I'll give you blessings, and I'll give you my personal association. But what does that mean? Does that mean complete surrender? But, complete surrender requires a deep degree of maturity. It requires emotional, psychological, spiritual maturity. And so anyways, I am not able to reconcile it. But I have left it at that, that God is great and I will not be able to understand his ways. And maybe I should just respect everybody and just focus on my own devotional attainment. Okay, translation we have read. Purport. We should specifically note in this verse the description of Gatim Bhagavatim. To become merged in the rays of Parabrahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as desired by the Brahmavadi impersonalist, is not Bhagavatim perfection. The Bhagavatas never accept merging in the impersonal rays of the Lord, but always aspire after personal association with the Supreme Lord in one of the Vaikuntha spiritual planets in the spiritual sky. The whole of the spiritual sky, of which the total number of the material skies is only an insignificant part, is full of unlimited numbers of Vaikuntha planets. The destination of the devotee, the Bhagavata, is to enter into one of the Vaikuntha planets, in each of which the personality of Godhead, in his unlimited personal expansion, enjoys himself in the association of unlimited numbers of pure devotee associates. Wow. And thinking about my life and thinking of this material world, if I were given a choice, I would want to be in a planet where Prabhupada is and Bhaktitirtha Swami is and Gaur Govinda Swami is. I don't want to go to where material opulence is there, or even if it's a hellish place, I would rather be with pure devotees of the Lord. And pure devotees are so rare and they're so amazingly beautiful. So the desire of a devotee is to be with number of pure devotee associates. The conditioned souls in the material world, after gaining emancipation by devotional service, are promoted to these planets. But the number of ever liberated souls is far, far greater than the number of conditioned souls in the material world. And the ever liberated souls in the Vaikuntha planets never care to visit this miserable material world. The impersonalists who aspire to merge in the impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence of the Supreme Lord, but have no conception of loving devotional service to Him in His personal form in the spiritual manifestation, may be compared to certain species of fish who, being born in the rivers and rivulets, migrate to the great ocean. They cannot stay in the ocean indefinitely, for their urge for sense gratification brings them back to the rivers and streams to spawn. Similarly, when the materialist becomes frustrated in his attempts to enjoy himself in the limited material world, he may seek impersonal liberation by merging either with the causal ocean or with the impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence. Yeah, I was kind of surprised by this line that you can merge with the causal ocean. And of course, a lot of people talk about this merging into the ocean. Of course, Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami explains that a devotee is like a shark. A shark dives deep into the ocean and it never merges with the ocean, but it enjoys the ocean. So even Prabhupada explains that even when an impersonalist gives this analogy that I will merge with the ocean, but okay, the water may be merging with the ocean, the river may be merging with the ocean, but what about all the different aquatics, especially the whales and the shark and the icebergs and all the pearls? Nothing else is actually merging. They all maintain their separate individuality. They're enjoying with the ocean. Srila Prabhupada used this analogy of shark to make three distinctions between materialistic people and devotees. A shark is never found in shallow waters. So Rupa Goswami explains, Srila Rupa Goswami explains that a devotee is actually diving very deep into the ocean of bhakti. He's not superficially just skimming the surface of the ocean. He dives extremely deeply into the ocean. And while doing devotional service, it is our natural state. It may sound sometimes, while chanting, sometimes it feels mechanical to me and I get bored. But I don't know, but our acharyas say that it is the natural state of jiva to always chant and to always remember the Lord and to do devotional service. Even while doing devotional service, I feel like, okay, maybe I should just go and take rest now. And maybe I've done too much devotional service. But Acharya Srila Prabhupada also explains that in devotional service, there is no vacation. There is no rest. It's 24 hours, nityam. And I have not been able to really understand that whole idea either, that there is no vacation or it's nityam, If given an opportunity to eat, make, sleep, and defend, I would always choose that one, and it's always a struggle to actually engage in bhakti. I have to discipline my mind, force my mind to do bhakti. And then after a while, I get bored or jaded or just kind of mechanical. And then I need to take a break and enjoy sense gratification in order to engage again in bhakti, to motivate myself again the next day. So anyway, that is kind of my situation. But acharyas say that there is no vacation. You dive deep, and it's a natural state of one's being, natural state of consciousness. So far, it's all. There are certain parts of bhakti which come naturally, and that kind of goes with your varnashram and your nature. there are certain aspects of bhakti yoga which are very natural to me, but the main aspects of bhakti yoga are very unnatural to me. So Srila Prabhupada says that in material consciousness there's bhoga tyaga, there's always this alternative positions, but in devotional service there is no vacation. It's nityam, it's satatam, it's always, it's without a break. In fact, the word anushilanam in the definition of uttama bhakti, anushilanam means to follow, anushasan, but anushilanam means without any break. There is no break in the consciousness. It's 24 hours. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma adi anavritam anukulena. It's anukulena Krishna anushilanam. So these three words is the primary characteristic of Uttama Bhakti. It's always anukul. It's always pleasing to Krishna and the Guru and the Acharyas. And Krishna Anushilanam. It follows the Mahajan Anushilanam and it's uninterrupted. Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam. And other things not covered by karma or jnana or other desires, they're secondary things. Acharya said those things come very quickly. But the main thing it's anukula and it's anushilanam. And anukulena always have to consider cause and effect. Let's say I want to do some devotional service for Krishna, but in the process of doing devotional service, I maybe act in such a way that it discourages others, or say something or behave in something. Then is it anukulena Krishna? Is Radharani pleased with it? Is Krishna pleased with it? So the main characteristic of bhakti, which is very interesting, is that it's pleasing to Krishna. In other processes like tapa or penance or dhanam or Vedic study or austerity, and Krishna says, not by this, not by this, not by these processes, but by pleasing me. So bhakti is actually it's a matter of pleasing Krishna. It's not a matter of personal attainment. It's not a matter of individual accomplishment. It is not a matter of some process. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that yada te moho kalilam buddhi ratitarishati tada gantasi nirvedam shotavya shotasya. When you have become indifferent to the words of the Vedas, then you would have attained transcendental consciousness. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion and you have become indifferent to the rituals of Vedas, then you will attain transcendental consciousness. So transcendental consciousness is at any given point what is pleasing to Krishna. And that requires a context, and it's very dynamic, and it is really in the heart of a devotee. So it's very difficult to judge anybody's actions or a devotee's action, especially a pure devotee's action, superficially. And generally, you never know what is pleasing to Krishna on that particular given moment. So it's a very dynamic process. It's not a mechanical process. And that simplicity of this desire to please Krishna in every situation is actually what's Uttama Bhakti. So I just wanted to say that. So the Mayavadis or Mashtanga yogis or Karmis, they perform so many austerities, but those austerities are not necessarily pleasing to Krishna. They're not done with the intent to please Krishna, and the effect is also not pleasing Krishna. And ultimately, all material advancement, it's very sad, but it ends up in a nuclear holocaust. All of this research and all of this material education, ultimately it leads to production of more and more sophisticated weapons to kill humanity. That is the ultimate goal of it, because there is no need for it. It's ultimately all within the category of Ugra Karma, from beginning to end. Human life begins with the system of Varnashram, which basically means living simply with the nature, with the cows, with animals. The entire industrial civilization is demoniac. It's not necessary. It's Ugra Karma. And to support industrial civilization, you have a system of education. Education means to produce people with degrees who are official yes men, who will kowtow to the corporate greed and kowtow to the political greed of society. That's what education means. Whether it's MIT, Harvard, Princeton, Stanford, doesn't matter really. It's basically to get a degree so you can get a job, so you can become a cog in the industrial, military industrial complex. That's what education means. And that is why Srila Prabhupada said it's slaughterhouse. It's a slaughterhouse education. Schools are slaughterhouse to put as much information in your mind with absolutely no application. For in my life, I feel so wasted. I learned so many things for the first 24 5 years of my life. I don't use any of that. And knowledge how to live, knowledge how to treat others, knowledge how to live in harmony with nature, with the cows, how to chant Hare Krishna and how to love God. That knowledge is not even given. And then you become used to certain things and become conditioned to certain way of thinking and living, and it kind of all goes to hell. So they cannot. So I just wanted to complete my thought. So a devotee is like a shark. They never merge with the ocean. They dive deep into the ocean. They are always in their natural state, swimming in the ocean, and they are always enjoying this rasa, and there is no break. So that's what Rupa Goswami explains. So here Srila Prabhupada says they want to merge either with the causal ocean or with impersonal Brahma Jyoti. Okay. However, as neither the causal ocean nor the impersonal Brahma Jyoti afford any superior substitute for association and engagement of the senses, the impersonalist will fall down into the limited material world to become entangled more in the wheel of birth and death, drawn on by the indistinguishable desire for sense engagement. Now, this is interesting. Even though our hearts may not be purified, in Uttama Bhakti, Srila Rupa Goswami says, Sarvapadhir vinirmuktam tatparatvina nirmalam rishikena rishikesha. Anybody can engage one's senses in the service of Krishna. And I find this process of bhakti as given by Srila Prabhupada is so dynamic, of engagement of senses in preaching, engagement of senses in book distribution, engagement of senses in kirtan, engagement of senses in honoring prasadam, engagement of senses in associating with devotees, going to holy places, just keep going around Govardhan. I feel like I have one saving grace in my life. And naturally, I was saying that naturally I don't like to do so many things, but naturally I just like to walk around Govardhan. So sometimes in my state of devotional panic, I think, okay, if nothing of this works, I'll just go to Govardhan and just go around Govardhan. But then the only fear comes is what happens when my money runs out, I mean, right now I have always gone to Govardhan with my credit card in my pocket. I have never been able to go around Govardhan happily with $0 in my account and in my credit card. So that question comes up. So maybe Krishna will just give me like 3 to 6 month notice. Cancer, death. Okay, now you just go around until you die. So that's kind of my devotional desire. My ultimate attainment of devotional desire. Krishna may give me a little small notice and then just keep going around until you fall off. But again, I think Rishikena, Rishikesha, it's great. It's not a dry mechanical process. If somebody were to tell just to chant Hare Krishna 24 hours a day, that would be like a real what you call a punishment, So maybe some people can do it. But again, Srila Prabhupada explains here that there has to be some association and engagement of the senses. And we have some exalted devotees here, and there are exalted devotees, of course, who can just chant and hear 24 hours a day, and all power to them, But Rupa Goswami has given me some sort of an engagement of senses, an engagement of mind. And of course, it cannot be a substitute for true Nam, Shuddhanam or Namabhas even. It cannot be a substitute. It cannot be a substitute just I keep engaging myself in more and more things and not really purify my heart or do contemplation and reflection and chant nicely and do anartha nivratti. So that wisdom and gnosis and knowledge and settlement has to go along with some activity. Otherwise, activity can be one-sided and it can be very, very detrimental. It also doesn't really bring happiness, just one-sided activity. One of my realization is you do 16 rounds and then you do things. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you feel very happy. Otherwise, without chanting your 16 rounds, even if you engage, maybe there may be some emergencies or exceptions, but even if you engage in bhakti, I go to book distribution and my sadhana has not been very good. I'm only thinking, why am I standing here? Am I not enjoying like them? Right, Alankar? Ever have had that thought? I'm like, okay, well, it's kind of cold, so I'm thinking of body and mind and intelligence. But if sadhana has been great, then it's fun. So sadhana and activity goes together. And if one thing can be done, then sadhana should be done. Of course, as one advances in bhakti yoga, one's sensual engagement actually takes place in the spiritual world. While chanting Radha and Krishna, one can associate with the Leela of Radha and Krishna, and one can serve with purified senses. One comes to the level of Brahman and then serves para Brahman with purified senses in one's mind, in one's Siddha Deha. Actually, chanting is to fashion one's Siddha Deha. What is chanting? Chanting is a tailor job. It's a tailoring job. Just like a tailor makes a cloth, while chanting, our next body, which is our spiritual body, is being fashioned. Our Siddha Deha is being revived. You can say like that. The cloth is there, the thread is there, it's being revived. And as one advances in chanting and bhakti yoga, while coming to the deities, he doesn't see deity, he sees Radha and Krishna. He sees people, person. Pumsaha, the word Pumsaha means person. So in Bhagavatam, this word Pumsa comes a lot. So Pumsa means person. He sees Krishna as a person. Then he can talk to him. Talk to him not in the material sense. Sometimes neophyte people or people who have no understanding of religion or spirituality talk about seeing God or talking to God or relating with God. It is not done with the material body. It is done with the soul, with the spiritual body. Atma has a natural correlation with Paramatma. Those two things are congruent. Oil and water do not mix. Material senses, material mind, material intellect do not mix. Sometimes the height of buffoonery is that people come to Vrindavan and they think that in Nidhivan, they will see Radha and Krishna's Leela. And these exploitative guides and pandits and pandas, they embellish such nonsensical, foolish buffoonery. It's complete buffoonery, that you're going to come to Nidhivan and you're going to see Radha and Krishna in their eternal pastimes. It's buffoonery. And this buffoonery goes on and on and on and on and on. But all of this is ultimately in the category of exploitation and buffoonery. One sees the Lord not with material senses, but with spiritual senses. And for spiritual senses, Srila Rupa Goswami has given a process. Ataha Shri Krishna Nam Adi Na Bhaved Griham Indriya. Rupa Goswami is saying it's Na Bhaved Griham Indriya. Indriya with material senses, material mind, material intellect. You can move heavens and earth and you will not see God. Or what to talk about seeing God? You will have no entrance into the realm. You will be inside the material matrix. So Na Bhaved Griham Indriya. Sevon mukho hi jivhado, by engaging your tongue in the service of Krishna, by honoring prasadam, by chanting Hare Krishna, by speaking Krishna Katha, by restraining your tongue from speaking ninda of Vaishnava. The first offense is to blaspheme the devotees of the Lord. So to restrain your senses, your tongue from criticizing people or criticizing things, one swayam eva, it is a revelation. Swayam eva spuratiyadha. The whole process of Krishna consciousness is a revelation. Deity has to reveal himself to you. And you cannot put any conditions. You cannot put any conditions on Krishna. Krishna, if he's pleased with you, if he sees your Uttama bhakti, your desire to please him, he may reveal himself, or he may not reveal himself for 1 crore births. A devotee's consciousness is, Krishna, whether you give me darshan, whether you purify me, whether you let me serve you at the level of Brahman, to serve for a Brahman, whether you give me darshan, it's up to you. I will keep going on serving you birth after birth. Mama janmani janmana ishware bhavatad bhakti rahitu kitoy. Just give me devotional service birth after birth. I don't want to see you. I don't want to be with you. I don't want any of the liberations. I don't even want salokya, samipya, sarupya. I don't want any of this. This is too much for me. I just want a devotional service. Another thing is some things which can naturally be cultivated is service to devotees. Yes, we may not have taste for the holy name or taste for devotional service, but we can serve the devotees. Everybody likes to serve others in this material world. So that can be a natural thing of serving others and serving the devotees of Krishna. So Sevan Mukha hi jiva do swayam.
We have a couple perfect to go to the next one also.
Swayam eva spurhati yada. Urgency is devil's work, Alankar. Okay, so we don't have to necessarily go to the next purport. Shanti, आराम से, हर काम आराम से. भगवान का काम आराम, राम का काम आराम से, और शैतान का काम जल्दी से. जहां भी जल्दीबाजी है, वहां पे क्या है? शैतान है. सोचना, बहुत गहरी बात है ना? राम का काम आराम से. So we'll go to the next purport. So this idea of sensual engagement, engaging one's body, mind, and senses in the service of Krishna, is a saving grace given to us by our acharyas. I posted Bhakti Vinod Thakur's last letter to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had taken a vow to chant 1 billion names of Hare Krishna. And this was in his spiritual maturity. And he was chanting in Jagannath Puri and in a thatched hut, 1 billion names of Krishna, which took him 10 years, Subal Sakha Prabhu, 10 years of 192 rounds every day. And Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur wrote him a letter. He said, "Oh Saraswati, real service to Mayapur is Sankirtan, is book distribution, is preaching, it's Harinam Sankirtan, is bring people to Mayapur for parikrama, for pilgrimage. So expand it more and more, So this was Bhakti Vinod Thakur's dream and desire. Now, there are some Gaudiya Vaishnavas who say that distributing books, organizing programs, organizing feast is all not necessary. We should just chant Hare Krishna. Rupa Goswami does not mention this in the 64 limbs of bhakti, but they are wrong. They are wrong because they have no connection with acharyas. And because they don't have any connection with acharyas, they do not know the manobhishtam of Krishna. And they have made bhakti into a mechanical process. Where does Rupa Goswami says book distribution in the 64 limbs of bhakti? Where does Rupa Goswami says that you should go and canvass and have Sunday feast in the 64 limbs of bhakti? So it's all just jaded mechanical process. It has nothing to do with the will of Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas and the Goswamis. Goswamis are typing books, putting their life to risk to take the books all over India on a bullock cart with no printing press. Taking the books all over, wherever they could go and putting their life at risk, paying taxes. And, there were 500 kingdoms. Some of them are British, some of them are Muslim, some were not British. Some of them are Muslim, some of them are unfavorable kings. Every time you pass a kingdom, you have to pay a toll tax and you have to show your papers, you have to show your passport. What are you taking? Is it contraband? No, these are books, these are spiritual books, thieves, dacoits, taxes, unfavorable kingdoms, Hare Krishna. We just have to go to Patel Brothers and give any book, we don't have to pay any tax on it. Nobody's investigating us for contraband. So So like that, it's important to engage one's senses in Krishna's service. Also important to engage in chanting. And as chanting becomes more and more purified, one's senses naturally are drawn to the spiritual world. And with awakening of raga and with awakening of spiritual senses, then actually one can serve directly Radha and Krishna in the spiritual world, the manjaris, the gopis, the gopas, the whole spiritual world. Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, like that. So chanting is a tailoring process. It fashions our spiritual body. The more we chant, the more our spiritual body is awakened, and our material body is destroyed, and our influence of matter on us is destroyed, and spiritual awakening, spiritual body, spiritual realization, spiritual thoughts, spiritual desires, they awaken. And that is the sum and substance of bhakti yoga, is to awaken spiritual desires, fill the mind with so many spiritual desires that there is no time for anything else. Fill the mind with so many spiritual desires. Those spiritual desires, of course, always under the instructions of gurus and acharyas. Always anushilanam and anukulina. Always anukulina, always anushilanam. And fashion our spiritual body. So by chanting more and more, by attention, by taste, and taste also comes from Krishna's mercy. And when we do something which are not very favorable to bhakti, then Krishna takes the taste away. The taste is not something I can get on my own. I can chant on my own. But the real taste, real laulyam, real intense greediness for bhakti. In bhakti yoga, the most important thing is an intense greediness to do it. And without that intense greediness, oh my God, it's Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, but it's not the bliss you are experiencing, So that, right, Alankar Prabhu, you need intense greed and intense laulyam and intense desire to do it. Otherwise, it's so mechanical. Okay, we will complete at least this one purport. In the Bhagavad Gita also the same is confirmed, as the Lord says, the great Mahatmas or Bhakti Yogis, after attaining my association, never come back to this material world, which are full of miseries and non-permanent. Yad gatvana nivartante tad dhamam na tad bhasate surun or shashankana pavaka yad gatvana nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Okay, and then the highest perfection of life is to attain his association and nothing else. The Bhakti Yogi, being completely engaged in the Lord's service, has no attraction for any other process of liberation like Jnana or Yoga. A pure devotee is a 100% devotee of the Lord and nothing more. We should further note in this verse that the two words Shantam and Anandam, which denote that devotional service of the Lord can really bestow upon the devotee to important benedictions, namely peace and satisfaction. The impersonalist is desirous of becoming one with the Supreme, or in other words, he wants to become the Supreme. This is a myth only. The mystic yogis become encumbered by various mystic powers and so have neither peace nor satisfaction. So neither the impersonalist nor the yogis can have real peace and satisfaction, but the devotee can become fully peaceful and satisfied because of his association with the complete whole. Therefore, merging in the absolute or attaining some mystic power has no attraction for the devotee. Now here Prabhupada says his association with the complete whole. So although we are not God, but we are godly. Being part of the complete whole, a gold mine is also gold. A piece of gold is piece of gold mine is also gold. So we are godly. So as long as jiva identifies with matter, as long as jiva identifies with this body, with this word, he is a jiva. But when the jiva identifies himself as servant of the Lord, as part and parcel of the Lord, then he begins to associate with Vishnu, with Krishna. He becomes part of that tattva. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, sometimes he says you will come to me, but sometimes he says you will attain my nature, mad bhavam. He says You will attain my nature. You will become my nature. And I always used to wonder, Krishna's nature, nature means prakriti, right? Nature also means bhava, swabhava, somebody's nature. And we also use the word, this nature is very beautiful, So we become part of Krishna's wholeness, Krishna's completeness. We become part of Vrindavan. We become part. So we have to realize a parcel is always separate. If I get a parcel in the mail, that parcel is always separate. So we are always individual jivas, but we are also part of Krishna. And for example, blood is part of me. You cannot take the blood out of my body. Blood is my nature. So Krishna says in many times in the scripture that he attains my nature. He becomes godly. He becomes godly. And some people interpret as becoming God, but no, he's godly. And a person who's godly has all the 50, at least the 50 qualities of Bhagavan. And those qualities are very attractive to people. So they make him Bhagavan. For example, in many traditions, we see that Guru is treated as God. We went to the Swaminarayan temple recently, and I was listening to this conversation between Swaminarayans and Srila Prabhupada in Mumbai. They came to meet Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada brought up this question that Akshar Purushottam Purna Parameshwar Bhagavan is Sri Krishna. But they say no, they're Swaminarayan, the person who appeared in the Jiva, who appeared in the 18th century in some part of Gujarat, he's Bhagavan, and Radha Krishna are on the side. And now they have Ram, Sita, Lakshman, Hanuman. Now they have Shiva, Parvati. Now they're adding all other deities to attract people, because somehow not many people are coming to see the Bhagavan. So now they are bringing everybody else. So that happens when you put your guru in place of Bhagavan. You're not peaceful. You're not peaceful. You're never shanta. There's no end to it. So you have to keep adding. You have to keep expanding the shaft. So attainment, so this is interesting, if you think about it, and the shaft has to keep expanding, but if you have Radha and Krishna, and if you have Krishna's lotus feet, you don't need anything else. And sometimes for practical consideration or preaching purposes, you may have, deity of Vishnu, but in general, our goal, ekmatra goal is Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajay Satanayas. And Srila Prabhupada makes two contradictory statements, and I would like to get your thoughts on that in Bhagavad Gita. One place he says, one can worship Krishna or any forms of Vishnu. They're all powerful. They're all Vishnu Murtis, and it's all pure and transcendental. In another purport of Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada says, a pure devotee never deviates his attention from that 16-year-old boy who's wearing a peacock feather. He does not even he does not even worship other forms of Krishna. So that's interesting. We were having a discussion. Of course, it's in the realm of inconceivable oneness and difference, but I'd like to get your thoughts after this. Attainment of love of God means complete freedom from all other attractions. So sometimes people say love of God. What does it mean? It means that you're free from every single thing else. Samadhi, enlightenment, transcendence, all of this means constant absorption in the thought of God, the thought of Krishna. You're not thinking of American football or English football or cricket or YouTube or Facebook or this or that, or you're thinking of your attraction is only to God. Attainment of love of God means complete freedom from all other attraction. The conditioned soul has many aspirations, such as becoming a religious man, a rich man, a first-class enjoyer, or become God himself. This is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. This is what Bhagavad Gita in 2nd chapter rejects. Shrutri vipariti pannate yadhate syasati nishchalam. What is the second line? Srila that you don't know. So sada syasati nishchalam. Shruti viprati panna. Shruti Vedas. After rejecting Vedas, satana asati nishchalam. When his consciousness is fixed on Krishna. So that words. But all of these aspirations have to be rejected by the prospective devotee who wants to revive his dormant love of God. Bhagavatam, very, very popular Bhagavatam verses, the first 2-3 verses, rejecting all Kaitava dharma. Prohijata, the word prohibited. We will say in our temple, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha are prohibited. prohibited. We should put a sign there. Mundane religiosity, ordinary wealth, and nobody will come to an ISKCON temple then. So mundane religiosity, becoming rich, becoming a first-class enjoyer, kama, artha, dharma, or moksha, or becoming God is rejected. Or becoming powerful like the mystics and acting wonderfully by getting anything or doing anything. But all of these aspirations must be rejected by the prospective devotee who wants to revive his dormant love of God. So there is asat trishna, hriday daurbalyam, anarthas, and tattva vibhrama. They have to be rejected. And raga, dvesha, asmita, abhinivesh, and agyan have to be rejected. And kama, krodha, moha, mad, matsarya, lobha has to be rejected. And only thing should be Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But a pure devotee has none of the tinges of the above contamination, which are the influence of material desires, impersonal speculation, and attainment of mystic powers. One can attain the stage of love of God. Look, listen to this. One can attain the stage of love of God by pure devotional service or by a learned labor of love. It's learned by acharyas, labor of love. So please read Nectar of Devotion in its entirety, in its depth, with all the commentaries by different acharyas. And this learned labor of love is there. For the sake of the devotee's lovable object, the personality of Godhead. To be more clear, if one wants to attain the stage of love of God, he must give up all desires for material enjoyment. He should refrain from worshipping any of the demigods, and he should devote himself only to the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, demigods, in Bhagavad Gita, there are three ideas. Number one, Krishna discourages worship of devatas. First of all, we do not do any criticism of the devatas. There is no avhelna or alochana of devatas, and we don't neglect them. But number one, worshipping a devata to fulfill one's material desire is not recommended. Kamastastu hritaggyana prapadyantanya devata tantam nevamastaya prakriti niyatasvaya. Number one, worshipping devatas for material desires is not recommended. Number two, worshipping devatas in and of themselves without understanding the relationship with the whole is discouraged. It's considered avidhi purvakam. Krishna says this is not the proper vidhi. There is a vidhi also. There is also a vidhi. You can worship, gopis worship Lord Shiva to get Krishna as their husband. That's a proper vidhi. Wherever there is, there is a temple of Vaishnavi Devi. So Vaishnavi, Lord Shiva's wife, Parvati, she's called Vaishnavi. Vaishnavi Devi, not Vaishnu Devi. In Bombay, there is a huge temple called the Mahalakshmi Temple. Okay, why Mahalakshmi Temple? Mahalakshmi Narayan Temple. Lakshmi is always there with Narayan. If you worship Lakshmi without Narayan, that is like Ravana. And if you worship Narayan without Lakshmi, it's Shurpanakha. So there is a vidhi. So first thing Krishna says, impelled by material desires, they worship the devatas, which is not proper. Number two, Krishna says it's avidhi purvakam, without understanding the relationship of devatas with Krishna. If I pray to Hanuman, please give me the strength to serve Lord Ramachandra, just like you did, 100% bona fide. If I worship Lord Shiva, you are Adi Yogi, you are Mahadeva. Please remove all the anarthas in my bhakti. Give me bhakti. Give me bhakti to Vishnu. Give me my spiritual nature. Take me back to Goloka Vrindavan. Bona fide and approved. So, second piece is, it's avadhi purvakam. Worshipping devatas alone while ignoring Krishna or Vishnu or the relationship with them. The second offense to the holy name is to consider the names of demigods like Shiva or Brahma to be equal or independent. Equal, when there is equality or independence, dependence, there is dependence, but independence is not good. So everybody wants independence in this world, but we want dependence in this world. We want dependence on Krishna. We want to be slaves of Krishna. Bhakti yoga is also called, welcome to the school of divine slavery. Slavery. Hare Krishna. My God, surrender, my goodness. No, never. So that is the second principle. It cannot be avidhi purvakam. It cannot be without connection with Krishna or Vishnu. It should not be impelled by material desires. And the last point Srila Prabhupada makes, which is very interesting, is is that sometimes we have understanding of the whole process, but our material desire is so strong. It is so strong. Then we think, Krishna is going to give me after a very long time. There is a lot of purification involved. There is a lot of penance involved. And by the time, I get there, maybe I will lose this desire, but I have this strong desire now. So let me go there and temporarily fulfill my desire. Temporarily. So temporarily fulfill my desire. And this is another point Bhagavad Gita mentions. Temporality versus eternality of a final goal. And that's very hard for jivas. The first two principles are easy to understand. The third principle, which requires in Vishnu Bhakti, penance and purification. If you get Goloka Vrindavan or Vaikuntha, you get everything. But there is some penance and time involved. And Krishna says, Shidram Bhavati. Shid, they want, right? They want quickly. And they want goals and they want it quickly. So they say, well, okay, well, maybe let me just go and just fulfill it right now. I don't know. I have not been able to reconcile whether that's good or not. Because people don't have ideas of eternal life, eternal time beings, eternal spans of life. Or if I'd say somebody, you have to perform penance for 30 years to get something, it's like, nope. I wanted this season, this year. So in that state, but Krishna and our acharyas discourages running after temporary goals, but one should run after eternal goals. That's a little hard for the jivas, including me, to kind of fathom the whole system. So these are three. We are never criticizing devatas. We understand they are Vedic part. They understand that they are part and parcel of God. Jiva Tattva, Shiva Tattva, Shakti Tattva. Shakti is a Tattva. Hinduism is the only religion, Sanatana Dharma is the only religion where women are worshipped. Matra. All of the Shaktis are worshipped. All of them. No other tradition would worship Shakti. You would not see. I have not seen, at least. You can tell me if you find. Maybe Virgin Mary, but it's not really worshipped. Jesus Christ is worshipped. But in Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma, Shakti Tattva is there, Shiva Tattva is there, Jiva Tattva is there. And just like we respect, if the Inspector General of Police, if the Chief of Police will come, I'll get up, I'll bow, I'll flower garlands, prasad, clean the temple, everything nice, pakka, nice dhoti, kurta, chadar, tilak, like that. So if for somebody like that, I would do that. What about the devatas? So this is a misunderstanding. Sometimes people say it's Abrahamic religion. You only worship Krishna. Well, it's very, very much more complex. I understood Shiva Tattva or Shakti Tattva or Jiva Tattva before I came to Krishna consciousness. And Brahma Samhita puts it so nicely. I have more respect and regard for Ganapati. I have more respect and regard for Shakti Tattva. Before coming to Krishna consciousness, I always considered Shakti as Kamini, as my object of enjoyment. But when Kamini becomes Mata, woman has two forms. One is Kamini, one is Mata. Mata is great. It nourishes, it protects, it loves, it gives so much happiness and joy to the heart. And it actually takes you to the spiritual world. Durga Devi has that ability, Sati and Parvati has that ability to give you their satitva and to give you your blessings to go to the spiritual world. But the whole problem is when mother becomes Kamini, then it becomes entangling. So one has to change one's mind. One time Srila Prabhupada said, there are 3 symptoms of liberation. 3 symptoms of liberation. How do you know you're liberated? 3 things. 1, you see every woman except your wife, of course, as mother, as Mata. Number 1. Number 2, you look at others' property as tuchha. Somebody can bring their Lamborghini car and you're not excited. The typical thing is, ooh, diamond, gold, big property, big car, land, wealth, and it's so attractive to people, people look at each other's cars and like, oh my God, oh my goodness, what is he wearing? So this is all ignorance. The consciousness of a person who's cultivating spiritual life is, God takes care of the ant and he takes care of the elephant. He takes care of lilies in the field and he takes care of the flowers. So he will take care of me also. And he will always give me enough for what I need. And whatever is given to me by my honest labor is good for me. Let me use to what I need and give everything else back to the service of God. Ishavasramidam sarvam with kincham jagatam jagat. He doesn't see a car or diamond or gold as somebody else's property. He sees it as Krishna's property. When Prabhupada would be stopped at customs and immigrations, he's like, I'm the son of God. Krishna owns this whole planet. Why are these immigration dogs barking at me? So he would see them as not other country. He would see them as dogs barking at him. Like, why? What is the need? He never, a devotee never has resource limitation. He sees everything as property of Krishna, which is to be used for the service of Krishna. So there is no resource limitation. Somebody says, I stay in a 5-star hotel. A devotee sleeps on the road. He says, I'm sleeping under a 1,000,000-star hotel. So like that. So there is no this shortage or poverty. There's nothing like that. Everything belongs to God, and everything should be used for the service of God. In that way, everything is godly. It's God's energy. So he sees, okay, a beautiful Lamborghini, God's energy, Hare Krishna. A beautiful woman, God's energy, Hare Krishna. Somebody is wearing a beautiful gold and diamond necklace, God's energy. Krishna is there also in that. He sees Krishna in that, Hare Krishna. To be more clear, so what are the three things? So one is he sees every woman as Mata. And that Mata, one should think of as Devi, one should think of as Sati, Parvati, Radha, gopis, like that. And it's very nourishing to the soul. That vision is very nourishing to the soul. There are three kinds of consciousness. If you look at the Islamic word, they cover the Shakti from top to bottom, because it's their private property. If you look at Europe and America, topless, bottomless, everything is less. Why? Because it's an object of enjoyment. But Sanatana Dharma teaches it's neither my private property, neither it's my object of enjoyment. It's Mata. And that is why in Sanatana Dharma has been able to sustain itself, without these Herculean efforts of either making people topless or making completely covered. Okay. The third one is, so one is not attracted to anything in this world. Number one, he sees it as Krishna's energy. Number two, he sees a woman as Mata. And what is the third one? The third symptom of liberation is Chanakya Prabhu, can you tell me? I'm missing one very, very, very common thing. I just got carried away to different tangents. Kanak Kamini and yeah, I mean, he, you don't see it, Sugandha, Radhika? Okay, anyway, that is there. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that, 3 symptoms of liberation. Okay, we'll complete the purport. To be more clear, if one wants to attain the stage of love of God, he must give up all desires for material enjoyment, and he should refrain from worshipping any of the demigods. And we have opened a bracket. We have put 3 qualifications. Okay, number one, not for material desires. Number 2, not avidhi purvakam, with proper method and rules and regulation. Just like Lord Ramachandra also worshipped Shiva, and Lord Chaitanya also worshipped Shiva.
God, this is Chanakya Pandit.
Okay.
One considers another's wife as his mother, another's possession as lump of dirt, and treats all other living beings as he would himself.
Haribol. So, but Prabhupada quotes this many times, and he would treat everybody else as he would treat himself. Others' pain and pleasure. There is no separation. Some people become monks. You know why they become monks? Because it says if you can love the whole universe, then why limit your love to a few people? They love everybody equally, more than themselves. That is the consciousness of a devotee who's in the renounced order of life. He has not renounced anything. He has actually begun to love the whole universe. So that he must give up the foolish idea of becoming one with the Lord. I love it when Srila Prabhupada uses the word foolish, rascal. It is like so endearing to the heart. And the desire to have some wonderful powers just to get the ephemeral adoration of the word. All the asses get together, they give each other awards. That's what all the Olympic Games are all about. If you can run like a cheetah, cheetah runs 100 meter in 4 seconds. If you can become a half a version of cheetah, then you're given a gold medal. Then similarly appearing cheetahs in the world. The pure devotee is only favorably engaged. It tortures the super soul within, torture the elements of the body. In 16th chapter, Krishna says all such austerities are demoniac. Everything is demoniac. The pure devotee is only, there is good thing about sports, physical activity, building of character. Of course, Vedic culture is full of sports, martial arts, sports, kabaddi, wrestling, archery, fencing, horse riding, all of that. But you don't have to torture the Paramatma within. It is for certain people, and sports is good for physical activity, health, wealth, peace of mind, character development, and all of those things. The pure devotee is only favorably engaged in the service of Lord without any hope of emolument. Can you look up what is the meaning of emolument? Meaning going back to Krishna, right? Without any hope of emolument. What is emolument? What kind of ointment is that?
A salary fee or profit.
Emolument means compensation. Okay, Krishna, I don't want anything from you. I don't want my name displayed. I don't want my fame displayed. I don't want anything. The biggest problem actually for love of God is the desire for pratishtha. People will perform severe austerities for pratishtha. They will do so much chanting, but ultimately they want pratishtha. They want respect. And if anybody disrespects you or slights you or kind of doesn't give you respect, you become offended. So what is all this for? So people do, so even worse than Kanak and Kamini is pratishtha, asha for pratishtha. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur talks about this as a witch, this dirty dog of pratishtha has taken over my heart, and it's torturing me day and night. More and more position, more and more respect, more and more glorification, more and more this, more and more that. Arey, chodo everything. Just take up some rags and live in Govardhan Baba, chant Hare Krishna. That is required, not any position. This will bring about love of God, or the stage of Shantam and Anandam as stated in this verse. So we'll stop here. We'll rest our case. We have given myself to, and it is not for self-purification I speak. Sometimes people say for purification. No, it is only to bring pleasure to Krishna and pleasure to devotees that I speak. Purification, whether it happens or not, is Krishna's business, not my business. So it is not for self-purification that I spoke. I thank you for listening, and it is only to please Radhanatba that I got up and I washed my face and came here, Alankar Prabhu, and to please you. Haribo. Questions, or we can do questions, reflection, or there were two subjects which were brought up. Is deliverance of a devotee by his devotional attainment of a certain level, as many scriptures say, you have to come to the level of bhava. The bhava bhavita dhyo manujas tathaiva samprapya rupa mahima asana yana bhusha shukteryameva prathitaya stumanti govindamadi purusha. So Krishna says in Brahma Samhita, Brahma is saying, your bhava bhavita, whatever bhav you cultivate, or is it that it's Krishna's mercy, or is it both? As in Damodar pastime, it's both. It's ultimately devotee's sincere effort. And so the solution to this conundrum, to this paradox, the Paul's paradox of believe in Jesus Christ or you're going to hell, or this idea that you have to come to the level of bhava. Radha Damodar pastime ultimately resolves this paradox in its entirety. It is two fingers. It is a devotee's sincere effort, sincere attainment, sincere effort, as much sincerity he can muster, as much as his adhikar is, and Krishna's mercy and Krishna's grace, and finally this little tincture of Narada's grace, little tincture, little tonic, little sprinkling, little what do you call sabji bana ke upar kya dalte hain usko? What do you call tadka? Like tadka, no. What is it called? Yeah, chance. No, not chance. No, not that word. Not that word. Garnish. Little garnish of devotees' mercy, Prabhupada's mercy, Guru's mercy, Bhakti Vinod's mercy, Bhakti Siddhanta's mercy, Rup Goswami's mercy, and keep making your sincere effort, parishram, and that. So that conundrum is solved there. Another conundrum was today we looked at the three consciousness, wrong ways of worshipping devatas. And today we looked at many other things. Okay, comments, questions, concerns, corrections. Purification. Devotees bring purification. Krishna never says anything from the altar. It is devotees who bring purification. Sometimes from within the heart he brings.
One thing is that now we all have to read on our own the 32nd verse.
Next week.
So next week's verses are already given to the speaker.
Oh,
You can read it in 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
No, but I mean it's deep dive, like a shark. So, but no, anyway, bro, that's fine. We'll do it on our own.
It's actually a small purport. Alankar, let's do it. There is no questions, right? We can just do it.
I
Okay.
did have a question. I actually a couple of questions, but if you want to.
Let's do 32. Then we can extend our class by 15 minutes. Okay. Text 32. Ete shviti te nirapa veda gite tvaya bhiprashte che sanatane cha ye vai pura brahmana ahatushta आराधितो भगवान वासुदेवा एते श्रुति ते निरपा वेद गीते त्वयाभिप्रष्ट च सनातने च ये वै पुरा ब्रह्मण आहतुष्ट आराधितो भगवान वासुदेवा. The last line is so beautiful. Aradhito Bhagavan Vasudeva. Your Majesty, Maharaj Parikshit, know that all that I have described in reply to your proper inquiry is just according to the version of the Vedas, and it is the eternal truth. This was described personally by Lord Krishna into Brahma, with whom the Lord was satisfied upon being properly worshipped. Purport. The two different ways of reaching the spiritual sky and thereby getting emancipation from all material bondage, namely either the direct process of reaching the kingdom of God or the gradual process through the other higher planets of universe, are set forth according to the version of Vedas, either directly or through the higher planets. The Vedic versions in this connection are Yada sarve pramuchyante kamaye asya hridisthitaha atha mratyo bhavati atra brahma samashnute brihad aranyaka upanishad 447 and te archit abhisambhavanti brihad aranyaka upanishad 6.2.15. Those who are free from all material desires, which are diseases of the heart, are able to conquer death and enter the kingdom of God through the Archi planets. Okay. These Vedic versions corroborate the version of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the latter is further confirmed by Sukadeva Goswami, who affirms that the truth was disclosed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna Vasudeva, to Brahma, the first authority on the Vedas. The disciplic succession holds that the Vedas were uttered by Krishna to Brahma, by Brahma to Narada, Narada to Vyasadeva, Vyasadeva to Sukadeva Goswami, and so on. So there is no difference between the versions of all the authorities. The truth is eternal, and as such, there can be no opinion about the truth. That is the way of knowing the knowledge contained in the Vedas. It is not a thing to be understood by one's erudite scholarship or by a fashionable interpretation of mundane scholars. There is nothing to be added and nothing to be subtracted, because the truth is the truth. One has to accept, after all, some authority. The modern scientists are also authorities for the common man for some scientific truth. A common man follows the version of the scientist. This means that the common man follows the authority. The Vedic knowledge is also received in that way. The common man cannot argue what is beyond the sky or the universe. He must accept the version of the Vedas as they are understood by the authorized disciplic succession. In the Gita, also the same process of understanding the Gita is stated in the 4th chapter. One who does not follow the authoritative version of the acharyas, he will mainly search after the truth mentioned in the Vedas. Evam parampara praptim imam rajarshayo viduhu sakaline hamata yoga nashta parantapa. So that is the way of attaining Vedic knowledge. And Aradhito Bhagavan Vasudeva. This is the way of worshipping Bhagavan. One should worship Bhagavan according to parampara, according to disciplic succession, according to Mahajanas, and according to the instructions received from Guru and Acharyas, and according to the process of Pancharatrika Vidhi and Bhagavat Vidhi mentioned in the Vedas. Okay, so comments, Sri Radhika?
I was thinking that the only thing that we can do is desire. I mean, the strength and the endeavor that is also coming from Krishna's mercy. We can't lift our one finger without His mercy. The only thing is our desire to surrender to Krishna. I mean, to give up all the things of this world to enjoy, and as you sing, love, puja, pratishtha, and Krishna fulfills our desires.
So
And like one devotee was asked Prabhupada, right, how do we make advancement? And he felt and then Prabhupada was leaving in his car and he said one word, desire. Do we desire to go back home or just give up everything? That is the problem. Like one devotee, he went to his teacher, right? And the teacher was hugging onto the tree and he was saying, tree, leave me, leave me, leave me. And he didn't understand. Because we are holding on to things of this world. And we still have not been frustrated enough to give up enjoying this world. That's why we are here. They also say that, I mean, we are kind of dreaming. We are in dream state. We're sleeping. And when we wake up, we are in the spiritual world. So dreaming and we are getting all this distress, like these are bad dreams. And it's like the spiritual world is not separate from this world. It's like we have to just get up. Jiva Jago, as you were saying, right? So we are with Krishna and Radharani, but we are in our own dream world.
We're in our own matrix, not seeing what's there. So dream and desire. Alankar, comments, questions?
I think, I have a couple of questions, but just before that, I want to appreciate Srila Prabhupada, here in these verses. You said you really love when he uses the words foolish and rascals and stuff, right? And I was amazed that the very next statement in this purport, he used the verses like emolument and like such incredible vocabulary Prabhupada has in those days. And not just that, but also the verses. Like, who would quote from Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad, 6 to 15?
And he didn't have any Veda base to search on.
So it's just incredible. It makes me appreciate Prabhupada so much. And so that's one. And then another question that I had was two questions. One might be a little controversial, but I think you can handle it very well. So the first one is in the first purport, first paragraph, end of that line, Prabhupada is saying that the ever liberated souls in Vaikuntha planets never care to visit the miserable material world. But this never care word is a very tricky word, right? It's like, okay, who cares, right? But those who are compassionate, they are like always, like if you think of a prison situation, okay, people generally don't care, okay, what is the problem, right? They are punished there. Same situation we have, but those who are compassionate, they're like, no, even in the prison, we'll go and help them. Devotees go in the prison, you go and you preach to the prisoners also. So why would the ever liberated souls not care, for those who are in this miserable world, and they don't even come, right? They never care to visit this world.
Well, they sometimes come. They come as teachers, they come as prophets, they come as acharyas. They don't care in the senses, like, they don't, it's not that they don't care. English is a funny language. I don't care to go to a slum. It doesn't mean I don't care about the suffering. I don't care myself to go to the, meaning, I don't care about going to a big shopping mall because I'm not attracted to it. That's what it means. I don't care. I don't care, I don't care about heavenly planets. I don't care about this. So, I don't care about heavenly planets, right? But I care about the suffering of the jivas. So in that way, I try to do my little bit as a jiva, my jiva potency to try to help this world. whoever I can. And Shri Radhika made such a good point on Sunday. We cannot help everybody, Alankar. The people in Vaikuntha, they know that when Ram and Krishna came to this world, people only blasphemed and criticized them. So they are jivas. They are serving the Lord there. They know that this is a very difficult situation to come here. And Bhagavan has a plan for everybody. He sends prophets, teachers, saints, acharyas, books, and people are making spiritual advancement to whatever degree.
Thank you, bro. The second question that I was thinking, maybe we can take it offline if you want.
No, we'll take it online.
Okay.
We will on the line.
So you brought up this very interesting point about Swaminarayan and Prabhupada's interaction with them. But it's funny that they think the same thing for us, like we worship God Nitai. And they can...
Okay, I can answer the question. Who's in the middle?
Radha Nadwar.
When we go to Swaminarayan temple, who's in the middle?
I have not been.
Well, then go. Their Bhagavan is in the middle. Who is Bhagavan? Krishna. Who are we reading? They worship, they chant Jai Swaminarayan. We're not chanting Jai Gauranitai. Our mantra is Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. There are three main differences. I'll answer. It's a simple question, simple answer. 3. Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord Godhead, is Sri Krishna. According to them, above Goloka Vrindavan is Akshardham, where their Bhagavan Swaminarayan lives. From him Krishna comes. This is not the Vedic conclusion. This is blasphemy. And they have put Radha and Krishna, now they're adding more deities. I already explained to you why they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, but...
So that's number one. Number two, we're chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, chanting the names of Radha and Krishna. This is the Vedic version. Now there is this very popular teacher in Vrindavan, he's asking people to chant the name of Radhe. That's not there in the Vedas. Radharani is not a prostitute, he has made her into a prostitute, him and his gurus. He may be very knowledgeable, he may quote from Bhagavad Gita, but he's not definitely following Bhagavad Gita. He's not following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be aghast. Radharani is the feminine energy, Lord's potency. You cannot take the name of Radharani without Krishna's name. It's against Vedic version. It's blasphemy. So it's corrupted. It's a materially motivated religion. So between Swaminarayan and the Hare Krishna movement, between disciples and followers of Srila Prabhupada or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there are three main differences. They believe, first is a philosophical difference, they believe in Akshardham, the source of everything, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, is somebody called Swaminarayan who came to this world in Gujarat. That's one. Number two, he is worshipped in the middle. Next to that, they have put Radha and Krishna. Whatever little good is there, it's because they have put Radha and Krishna and Sitaram next to them. At least they have done that. And number three, they chant Jai Swaminarayan. That is their mantra. Ultimately, everybody follow the Vedic principles, the vegetarianism, the renunciation and all that. But that's been going on for billions of years, trillions of years. Ravana also did that. Hiranyakashyap did that. Everybody does that. That's been going on since the beginning of creation. Impersonalists also do that. So Srila Prabhupada in Bombay, he's sitting, there's a conversation. They left after about an hour. The senior monks came to meet him. So there are three main differences. Their book, Vachanamrit, their own guru says that Param Purushottam, Akshar Purushottam Bhagwan is Sri Krishna. Akshar Purushottam, the Baps, Bochasan Vasi, Akshar Purushottam Swaminarayan. Akshar Purushottam is Krishna, but their followers in 250 years of corruption, they made the Guru as Bhagavan. It's Mayavad. And they chant Jai Swaminarayan, but because Narayan word is there, that's why they get material opulence. Because the Narayan word is there. And because they follow the Vedic culture, they do a lot of social work. But again, if you look at this purport, We don't want to be a religious person. We don't want wealth. We don't want name and fame. In Krishna consciousness movement, wealth is required for preaching, for propagation of the movement. Without that, we will be a group of Goswamis or hermits living somewhere. Mahasatsang, you have to rent a Carlton-Beck hall. How many people, how much money is required? Prasad, kirtan, instruments, everything. So anyway, so money is required for building temples. Otherwise, who will come? Who will come? So they are building temples, fine, it's fine, but it's not the Vedic culture. It's and you can see the consciousness. They have some monks who are definitely, they have some sense control. Krishna rejects all of that in Gita. He says it's not by austerity, not by tapasya, not by rituals, not by Vedas, not by studying, not by charity, not by dhanam, but by bhakti you attain me. Anyway. So Alankar Prabhu, there are three main differences, and it's gross. I just recently went to the Swaminarayan temple in Cincinnati. Now they're adding more deities. Very soon there'll be no difference between them and a Hindu temple, and they'll add Sai Babas also. Because there is no peace, there's no shanti. They want it's basically what Srila Prabhupada said. It's a strong word. It's prostitution. A chaste devotee has one master. It's an unmistakable from what we read. Right? And how does followers of Srila Prabhupada, followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not become institutionalized? If we really read and study Bhagavatam in detail, and we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Mahaprabhu did not appreciate it. Bhaktivinoda Thakur had this court case in Jagannath Puri against this person. They had just a slight modification of the Mahamantra. He filed a court case against him. So this is corruption. All the other sampradayas, they're not demoniac people. They're just like upper sampradayas. They're all aul baul, all of these people. They have changed the mantras, they have changed the philosophy. The word Gauranga Nagari, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said it's an upper sampradaya because they say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Bhagavan. This is the crime. Sinful people, they may have some things, they may do which are not very strictly according to Vaishnava principles, pan, bidi, cigarette, this tea, coffee, things like that, small things. But the crime of Gauranga Nagaris is that they say Gauranga Mahaprabhu is Bhagavan. It's a crime. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never approved it. He was never pleased by it.
Hare Krishna. Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.